Hello, everybody. Hey, I wanted to talk about the importance of following best practices. Now, when you are building your first online course, and I'm assuming you're working with WordPress, a lot of you are using learning management systems. We're really big on LearnDash. Not having access to best practices is a huge disadvantage. I want to say in the last 5 months, we've run into at least 4 projects where we took on a project that was started by the business owner or their team. They were not non-technical teams. They were teams that had a lot of experience working particularly with WordPress, but they had never built an online course. So it was their first time at it. And what we find is that people, because of their limited understanding of how you use not just WordPress, but WordPress and your LMS and maybe a community tool like BuddyBoss. Before you know it, it can get complicated enough that doing the next minor step requires using a new plugin. And then, a little more time goes by and they give another plugin a try. We had a site that we took over that had 115 plugins. Typically you want to keep them, 20, maybe 30 on the high end. But because they were kind of just trying one thing and then trying another thing and then trying to fix one bug that was caused by another thing that they tried, it just becomes this huge chaos of WordPress plugins, increasing the possibility of things not working well and of plugins conflicting. I'm telling you, it's really a big problem, and the amount of time and effort, not to mention money, which they were likely trying to save by doing it themselves, was just massive. Now, I've come up with my Profitable Online Builders starter guide, and in it, and this is, I call it my LearnDash edition. And in it, I've got some advice about selling, how to make sure you target your audience. But there are 3 chapters, 3 sections in the effort, in the starter guide, that focus on best practices when using LearnDash with WooCommerce. Now, if you are using LearnDash, I highly recommend that you use WooCommerce with it. The LearnDash e-commerce works, but just about every business owner building an online course is going to run into its limitations fairly quickly. WooCommerce, on the other hand, is a best-in-breed tool. And both WooCommerce and LearnDash are both very strong in aftermarket add-ons. So they have a lot of features built by third parties that fill in functional gaps that most people will need. So they're very established tools, but as established as they are, not having access to someone who really understands how the tools can be best used, not just how they should be used, is very important. Now, when you use WooCommerce, WooCommerce typically will give you, I'll call it a dashboard, but it's their My Accounts page, and it's where they send people that have downloaded virtual programs, something that you bought that doesn't require delivery, physical delivery. And as a result, a lot of people use their dashboard to give people access to things. Well, in part 5 of my resource of this, starter guide, I show you exactly how to not do it that way. Because when people arrive at your site and they want to get access to the course that they just purchased, they want to go right to it. They want to have easy access to it. They don't want to have to go to a page that looks like it's got like, here's your subscription and payment information and how to reset your password. They want a dashboard that gives you free access quickly to what you just purchased. Now, if you're following the documentation, WooCommerce, their documentation doesn't include information about LearnDash. As a result, a lot of people don't think, well, how do I not do it this way, which WooCommerce recommends. WooCommerce also has some emails that they will send out that help you get the login credentials into the hands of people. So, I buy a course. Maybe I have immediate access to it as soon as I pay. But then I've got to come back. Well, how do I log in, right? The default process that WooCommerce gives you for doing that is awkward. It works, and it works. So I don't want to, throw any bad information out there, but it's just not an elegant experience for your users. So you're following what WooCommerce says you ought to be doing, and as a result, your user, your member, is getting a bad experience. Now, again, I'm not knocking WooCommerce. They are an excellent e-commerce platform, best in breed. But if you are using LearnDash with it, there are ways you ought to be using it. And LearnDash isn't going to give you the documentation to tell you how you should use WooCommerce to make the best use of LearnDash. It's just not their business, right? They can't come up and give you documentation on every e-commerce system you could possibly use. Now, in my starter guide, I give you all the information for making use of both of those. And I also have this group where I've published this live, where I share information, where I answer questions. And as a matter of fact, anybody that's a member of this group gets a free 15, 20-minute call with me, and I'll just answer questions. In the fall, we're going to be launching an online program, like a community program, for people to get their questions answered. It's going to be a solution. It's a paid solution where you can come in, tap into the knowledge of me and my team to get your site up in 6 weeks or less. And this isn't a pipe dream. This is something that is very realistic. We build 3, 4, 5 WordPress course sites a month for our customers, and some of them are just fairly simple LearnDash sites. Others will have WooCommerce involved. They could possibly have MemberPress or other tools. Many of them are connected to backend CRMs like ActiveCampaign or Keep, and they'll use a tool like Memberium in the middle. We've just built so many of these. We understand what's the right combination, and we can speak to a lot of people when they're starting to put their architecture together, so that you make good decisions at the beginning that keep you from trouble and inability to scale on the back end. So it's a free resource. I provided the link here in the post. Feel free to request it. We'll give you immediate access to it, and it'll really get you started down the right track, following some best practices that honestly most people won't think to do because they've never done it before. So take advantage of that resource. We're more than happy to help you. And then if you want a free call because you're in this group, it's free for the taking, no obligation, no charge. We'd really like to give you a leg up on these projects so that you can move your online course forward and not get stuck in something that, of course you're going to get stuck with it because you've never done this before. So anyway, cheers.